Welcome to the 16th episode of the Illegal Use of Hands to the Face Football Podcast. How you doing, Jake?
Doing great, Hayden. How are you?
Doing tremendous. We are talking about the position I played in high school nowadays, linebacker. So, that means that I know literally everything about these guys, and whatever I say will happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't even know why I had to rank anyone, because your rankings are going to be the ones that are right. Mine,
Exactly.
I just did it because we need to fill time.
You're literally on the money with that analysis right there. I mean, but first, what news do you have for us today?
All right, I'm gonna hit you with the two smaller things that have happened in the past couple of days. First one happened today. Jalen Hurts changed his number to 1, so I think he's just showing that he is going to be the number 1 quarterback there in Philadelphia now, not the backup.
Who was wearing it before? The kicker?
The punter, maybe?
The punter? Huh. Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, honestly, that doesn't even feel that different, because, he wore one in college, right? At Oklahoma, and he wore 2 at Bama.
Yeah.
Because he had the dreads at Bama. He feels like a completely different player. He doesn't even feel like the same guy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. No, I'm fine with that. That doesn't bother me too much. I mean, I knew him. Even though I don't think either of us follow college football nearly as closely as we follow NFL football, I think that that still is not too weird for us, because I knew him at Bama and at Oklahoma, so yeah.
Yeah. The second rule change, or not rule, the second piece of news is a rule change. Kansas City is proposing at the latest owners meeting to allow receivers and defensive backs to wear numbers 1 to, and linebackers too, 1 to whatever number ends at that position group. So receivers would be 1 throughout the teens, and then to 89 or 80 to 89. Linebackers, it would be 1 all the way through to 59, and for defensive backs, it'd be the 20s, 30s, and 40s, and then 1 through 10.
I've kind of always liked the organization of the NFL, not having. You could kind of know guys' positions based off what numbers they were wearing, even if they wore some of the outlier ones where it was you found a tight end with the 40s sometimes. It was well, you still know that guy can be a tight end. So I've always kind of liked that a little more than the other positions. So if they change that, I don't know. It's obviously not a big deal, but it would definitely change how the game looks.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought when I read it too. I was like, it'd be all right, but it'd just kind of make the game look a little less organized.
To be honest, if I had a vote in it, though, I'd vote it down. I wouldn't vote yes on that. Yeah. I'd vote it down, because I like having a little bit of consistency with how they do that.
Yeah.
Did you have one more thing?
Yes, and the last thing is the bigger piece of news. Everyone's talking about what the Niners are going to do with that 3rd overall pick, and the hot name that's floating around is your guy, Mac Jones, getting taken at 3, the most pro-ready quarterback in the draft.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I'd consider taking him at 1. So I mean, saying that you'd take him at 3 isn't that big of a deal to me. But to other people, it may be. But yes, San Fran's already good. If they get my favorite quarterback, I at least would expect them to be fairly good next season. But the thing that sucks is what's going to happen with that is he's going to get picked by the Niners, and the Niners aren't going to move Garoppolo before the season starts. And you know what happens then is Garoppolo, the same thing you just talked about with Jalen Hurts. Garoppolo has 10. Mac Jones is going to pick a number. If he likes 10, Garoppolo's going to get moved after the fact. A bunch of people are going to buy jerseys with Mac Jones number, I don't know, I don't want to pick a guy.
11.
Whatever it is, but I'm not thinking about who's on the team. I think Ayuk's 11. I don't know. But yeah, whatever. He's going to pick a close number to that. And then a bunch of people are going to be sitting in the San Fran stands this upcoming season with Mac Jones jerseys on that have the wrong number on them because he changed it once Garoppolo got traded. So
Yeah, number 19 Mac Jones jerseys in the
Debo
in the
Samuel.
stands.
See, that's why I didn't pick a number. That's why I didn't pick a number.
See, and
Wait, did Samuel actually? Samuel may be on a new team because he was a free agent, wasn't he?
Curtis Samuel was.
Okay, Debo wasn't. Yeah, Debo's too young. That's right.
Yeah. This is something that I forgot to mention with the number changes. I wish they would add in number 0 for quarterbacks, kickers, and punters.
I didn't notice it when we were watching the DBs. I think I saw one guy wearing 0, and I was like, "Oh, it's cool." Like, I would have worn 0. Like, I didn't play basketball in high school, but like, if I could have worn just a single-digit 0 in high school, I would have. But I never even thought about it for football. So, no, that's interesting that it's starting to get into the football game. Yeah, I'm kind of interested in that. And then the last thing is the helmet rule may get changed.
Oh, yes.
We may see multiple colored helmets. So quick rundown, like top 3 uniforms that we'll get to see again with the helmet rule change. You got any that come to mind?
Well, the one in the article that I sent you about that, the Falcons like all black one with the
Red.
All red with the throwback logo on it. That one's good. The Buccaneers creamsicle ones, obviously, and
anything.
I'm gonna anything, but since we're Bills fans,
Okay.
I'm gonna go with the red helmet.
Oh, okay.
Red helmet with the white face mask that they brought back too.
Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna go. The one I said to you immediately, which is that golden Pittsburgh helmet. For some reason, I love seeing that. The Philly, the 1980s ish Philly helmet. That one, yeah. I love how that one looks in a more modern tone.
One?
I don't like 1930s one.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, no. I like how that one looks. I don't like how those jerseys look old school, but the new version of the old school I actually do like. And then what the heck? There was one more I was thinking of, but the one that really interests me too, besides the ones I was thinking of, is the concept that the article actually introduced me to, which is that the Browns are getting alternates this year. And I like it. It's like the 49ers alternates. And I was like, this is weird because the old school jersey actually has, what's it called? It has I do it when I edit things. Like, you put a number over itself, but then you add like a different backlight to it, and that's the only difference in the old school looking Browns jersey. But they did it for the 1940s, I think, 1946 championship team, and they said they were going to make throwback jerseys for that team. Thing was, the Browns had white helmets in 1946, so if we got an alternate where the Browns were wearing white helmets, it would just be interesting because we haven't seen the Browns wear anything but orange helmets the entire time we've been alive. So that really does pique my interest. I'd be excited to see it again.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think the rule made sense. Like, even when I first found out about it and didn't have any background knowledge for it, though, I didn't think the rule ever made any sense. I was like, they really think that wearing the same helmet will make it so that less people get concussed? But I guess I get it, because at the time they were like, we just got to test everything to see what works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got to do something to make our image good. So, in order to improve player safety, we're going to add a 17th game.
Oh, don't worry. Don't worry. If we get the 18th game, it'll be that players are only allowed to play 16 regular season games, and then it'll be determinable. Like, oh shoot, Brady will probably be retired by the time the 18th game gets around, but it'll be like, oh shoot, who are the two teams that are crappy enough that we're not gonna have Josh Allen play this week or whatever? Patrick, yeah, we got a Thursday night game we gotta sell this week, but at least we got the Chiefs playing on Thursday night. It's against the Jags, but it should be exciting at least for that reason. And then it's, oh crap, they just benched Mahomes. This is one of the 2 weeks Mahomes will be sitting out, so that he only has to play his 16 games.
The worst part, or to make that game even worse, if it was just like the Jags, we're not gonna send Lawrence out there to go and play in that game.
Oh my gosh.
So you have like Chad Henne and Blaine Gabbert, if they're still the backups for those teams by then.
Imagine if it wasn't even a tactical thing though, because like the team had to send in who they weren't playing like 2 days in advance, but it was due at the same time the other team had it. So like both teams send in their starting quarterbacks at the same time, and it's like, because it's like, well, it's like one team's like, well, this is a really bad team, we'll have the best chance to win without our starter this week, and the other team is like, this is a really good team, we have no chance of winning, just bench the starter this week. And then that happens. Oh my gosh, that would be hilarious. I'm really but we're gonna get that 18th game eventually, and it's gonna be funny how they play that off, because I imagine selling the 17th game and adding the 2 wild card games last year was probably pretty hard for the NFL to actually like just get the players to accept that.
Yeah.
But they did. So I gotta wonder about how long it'll take to get an 18th game.
Mm-hmm. And the players already don't like the 17th game, because that's been passed. And Alvin Kamara said I can't remember exactly what he tweeted, but it was like, yeah, this is BS.
Well, it sucks for the record books too.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, they're gonna have to go back and change everything. Well, this was the record for rushing yards.
No, every record is gonna get beaten. Like it will. But the thing that now that we have to try to compare it to, which people don't do, is actually like in terms of how many over the course of like however long your season was, how many yards per game were you having, how many touchdowns per game were you having, how many. That's really the best way to compare it, but I mean, now it screws it over, and people aren't going to bother to do that, which sucks, because like LT's rushing touchdowns, or maybe it's total touchdowns, whatever it is, that record's pretty impressive, and I didn't think anybody was going to beat that fairly soon. But I mean, adding a whole extra game, let alone soon enough 2 extra games, since they got this one, they'll try to tack on the next one fairly soon, I'm guessing. It's going to be sad when they lose that, when he loses that eventually, and that's the reasoning because of it.
And now if you finish like if you finish 10-7, you're kind of a bad football team. You're like you're like squeaking into the playoffs then at 10-7.
Yeah, I know, like 10-8, like ugh. That's gross.
Lucky if you make it in. Jeez.
10 wins, oh yeah, that's kind of annoying too.
And no one's gonna be able to finish 500. Well, you could go 8-8-1 this upcoming season.
Yeah. That's the only way. Yeah, I guess that may be a nicer thing though. Like teams either have to be above or below 500.
Yeah.
It would be impressive. It would be impressive if we saw an extra game and we still had teams at like seven wins get into the playoffs. that would be pretty cool.
You want to jump into linebackers now?
Hey, moving on to linebackers. You excited for this?
I am excited. When I was looking at these guys, I feel like in the top 7 or 8, you can't really go wrong with picking one of them. They all seem really, really good.
I'm not as high on these guys as you are. Not.
Okay then.
Not. I don't know how many did you watch?
I watched 20 total. 20 total. Yes.
Okay, to keep my thing consistent, from what I did before, because like the safeties were a mess with me trying to look at all these lists. Told you with the corners, I used CBS's big board to get the corners that I watched. So I did the same thing for the linebackers. They had 14 linebackers listed. 3 of them I threw into the edge classifications. I have their names written down. I have them off to the side. I'm gonna do them when we get to D-line. And then the other 11 are the guys that I watched, but just using CBS once again because I figured that's the easiest way to do it.
Okay.
Would you like to lead us off, or do you have any basic thoughts on these guys before we begin, besides the thing you already said?
Yeah, I don't have any basic thoughts on them, no.
All right. I don't know. They were an interesting group to me. That's what I'll say. I don't think this position is as deep as corner or safety is.
No, I don't think that is either. I just with them, I think you know what you're getting with a lot of these guys, and
Okay.
a lot of them have high floors. That's what I should say.
Oh, okay. I'm interested on one guy that I want to hear you talk about specifically, but the rest I'm meh. All right, you lead us off though.
All right, at number 10, out of Virginia, I got Charles Snowden. The dude is huge. He's 6'6", 232. He plays a lot of inside linebacker. He's pretty smart. Doesn't bite on any fakes. His coverage is decent. I have him at 10 because he's really, really raw. He makes some mistakes sometimes when it comes to rushing the passer, and he struggles with injuries, specifically leg injuries, because everyone just takes his legs out, and that's going to be something that hurts him at the next level. But he is really thin, like I said, 6'6", 232. If he gets on an NFL meal plan and starts lifting, not that he isn't already lifting.
What
but
school do you
with
go to?
NFL trainers, Virginia.
Okay.
And he gets on that, and also Virginia isn't big football schools too. So
Wait,
Yeah.
really? I thought they were like I thought it was like Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, and right there was Virginia fourth.
yeah, Virginia, yeah. You know every single all year in the national
The
championship
playoffs.
Yeah, it's Bama, Clemson.
If they're out
Ohio
of it,
State.
they're in like the bowl game that the number 5 seed goes to.
Yeah. But yeah, Charles Snowden's at 10 for me.
Okay. So I was gonna ask, how the heck do how do you guys just like how do you guys attack his legs? Like, are you telling me there's actually people out there right now that are like watching tape, seeing he gets a leg injury, and then they're just like diving for knees? Is this actually what's happening?
He is getting cut blocked by running backs like every single time he runs. I think they just tell the running back. Like,
On
just go at his
blitzes?
legs. Yeah, on blitzes, just taking his legs out.
You kind of see that no matter who's blitzing. I couldn't believe how much like all of these guys are blitzing. Like
Yes.
purposely, we're talking only about off-ball linebackers, by the way, and it still like just they're starting off the ball and they're still rushing the passer, and it feels like most of the like pass play highlights I was seeing were still rushing the passer, not any.
Yes.
Definitely
I
more than
struggled.
coverage snaps.
Yeah, I struggled to find a lot of coverage snaps for these guys. Like, I think I YouTube, I was like, so and so's name coverage highlights or coverage tape, and if I couldn't find anything of that, I had to like go on the school's website and look at his highlights there, and then finally something would come up.
Oh man, I haven't looked at highlights on a school's website once. Wow, that's what you were talking about earlier, though. That's interesting. No, actually, that's kind of what made my like top group of guys like actually stick out, is the fact that they could actually cover people.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not kidding. That's actually the big difference. So like I said, 11 guys. So the last place guy I have that qualified for my list, I'll just mention him. Pete Werner. Just not. No, I'm okay. But number 10, Baron Browning from Ohio State. Some of these guys, the guys that I put at the bottom, really just like kind of lacking like much of anything really. Well, I shouldn't say that. Just this guy specifically and Werner. Baron Browning, just average run game linebacker. Like, he's making tackles in the middle of the field, and he doesn't do much of anything else like at a high level. And when it's that basic, it's like, well, you're not you're not looking at a very high ceiling. It's kind of just like, well, maybe somebody can be convinced that he can play the Reggie Ragland role or something and be excited about that. So yeah, he's my number 10.
Yeah, I have him on my list too, so I'll get to it when I get to him. Number 9
higher. Dang, you watch way more guys than me. Okay, shoot.
At number 9 for me, I got Pete Werner.
What?
The dude has speed. The dude has speed, and he uses it. I'll give him that. He sticks with running backs all the way downfield. Now, there's some times where they just send. I noticed it on a lot of plays where they would just have him. If they saw that he lined up in man across from the running back out wide, they would just send that running back on a streak and just be like, get him out of the play. He would run with him all the way downfield. He keeps up with him.
You do know that whenever a receiver lines up out wide, like, I would say 98% of quarterbacks are told to never even look at them. Because, like, I mean, I beat a few guys deep in my days, and I was a fullback, but no one was ever looking for me on the go route, right?
Yeah, but I mean, even if they're not looking at it, he's sticking with them. He can cover. He sticks with running backs and tight ends well. He gets out-muscled by tight ends a lot, though. He's instinctive. He knows exactly what he's going to do on run plays, and that costs him sometimes if he knows exactly what he's going to do and the offense does what he doesn't think they're going to do. Because there are times in play action where he's like, oh, I see the run I see the running, and then goes to play run D, and
yeah, he's throwing the ball
to the tight end right over the middle, and then that takes it up 25 yards upfield. So I have him at 9. I like
so
him.
So the fact that he's fast gets him the number 9 spot.
Yes.
Oh boy, I think you're really gonna be mad at my number 9 pick then, because my number 9 pick is like completely. I gotta find where I wrote his name, and I mean I know who it is, but I gotta find the area that. Okay, it's right here where I actually wrote what he says. So my number 9 is Jabril Cox from LSU, and he kind of. Try not to talk too much about the Bills, even though it says Buffalo all over the back wall of my thing. Now that people can finally see us, we should mention, look at our cameras. Isn't it great? If you've been following before this. But the thing is that the reason I mentioned the Bills is that the Buffalo Fanatics somebody there seems to continuously be posting about this guy and how great he is. And so kind of went in like, okay, I hope I'm impressed with him because this guy keeps talking him up. And lo and behold, I get to see him, and it's like, he's got good reaction and recognition and pass coverage, and he can get in passing windows a decent amount. But I mean, besides that, like run game wise, it seems like he's just making plays when they come directly to him. And I'm really not like that in love with what he does. Meanwhile, I said before, like the guys that were at the top were the guys that actually were covering well. They were guys that were covering well while also excelling in other areas of the game. And then the guys that are lower than them are like solid run defenders, but I wasn't seeing much from them out of like pass coverage or whatever. They're better at defending against the run. Jabril Cox is kind of the weird piece in all this, in that he is the guy that is somehow meeting the qualification at the linebacker position of decent coverage defender, but I'm like not seeing anything from him in regards to the defending the run game. So I'm kind of like stay away. I'm not interested. And he's kind of the last guy in like my little bottom tier here of like guys that I'm really not interested in at all.
Okay. I have him on my list too.
Which
So
is what I thought you would say after
yeah,
you said you had Werner. So
yeah. I'll get to him when I get to him. At 8 for me, I got Jamin Davis. Uh, he out of Kentucky. He hold on, let me find his measurable. 6'4". All these guys I saw were pretty tall too. Almost all of them had some decent height on them.
I gotta be honest, I wasn't like worrying about the size of these guys as much as I was the corners and safeties, mostly because the the chances of I think there was one of them that was like, yeah, there was one guy, okay, I know who it was, that was like significantly like kind of like you look at the numbers and it's like, okay, that's a smaller linebacker, but like the rest of the guys I was like, they're not undersized, I don't really need to worry about their size. um so I wasn't looking at their size as much, but yeah, I don't know. I just wasn't as concerned with it. Sorry for that interjection.
No, it's fine. I wasn't concerned with it either. I just when I saw that all of them, like they're all decent size, so that's what usually you get like a couple freakazoids, and then
Mhm.
like most of them are undersized after that, or a couple like you got a decent bunch that are undersized. You
Yeah.
got guys that are like Goldilocks zone, perfectly good in the or like good in the middle.
Yeah. Oh, I know
But
what I was gonna say. There was one guy that um whose size was specific to me for one reason, but not because he was undersized. Okay, continue.
uh, yeah, Jamin Davis. First thing that I wrote for him was he's fast. He does work on special teams.
You're a very simple man.
I am. He does work on special teams. He blocked. I think I saw 2 field goals and a couple of punts with it. Uh, his eyes are always on the QB. Doesn't leave him. They use him as a spy a lot too, and he's gotten a couple picks by being the spy, which was fun to see. Um, with that though, he's pretty raw. He's got all the athleticism, but there's just sometimes where he gets confused on misdirections or like I saw one play, it was a throwback, like it was a toss to the running back. The running back threw it back to the quarterback and he still ran to the running back and laid the running back out. And I was like, you got a little confused where the ball was there, didn't you?
The definition of I don't actually care if we win or lose. I just want to hit somebody.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, he did go out there and hit guys, but in the pass game, he's raw there because of that. He just sees where he wants to go. Same kind of thing with Pete Werner, and yeah, in the run game though, when it's actually like handed off to the running back, he reads that well and can usually find and plug holes.
Okay. I think there was a guy that was playing QB spies better than he was, like significantly better. And Jamin or Jamin?
I heard it Jamin when I was.
You actually? Oh, you see, I turn off the volume for the videos that I'm watching, and I just listen to music while I'm doing it, so I don't even hear it. I'm just guessing. I'm purely guessing these guys' names. If they're wrong, like, uh-oh.
Yeah, I want to hear how a couple of the names were pronounced because, yeah, I didn't want to sound like an idiot.
Okay.
Like some people.
Oh, yeah, I don't know who that would be. Number 8 is my first guy that I'm kind of excited to talk about because he's interesting. I've actually got a decent amount written for him. Chaz Surratt from from North Carolina. I didn't think that I would actually have to make the distinction for a player of the difference. I was worried about making the distinction between edge players and linebackers. The actual issue is that I have to figure out whether this guy's a quarterback or a linebacker, which I was not expecting to have to do. But I think I'm guessing that if he got beat out for the quarterback position at college, he's probably playing linebacker in the NFL. But it is an exciting prospect to have your emergency quarterback be in the linebackers room. That's pretty interesting. So yeah, I just said he flies up to the ball. He's a solid blitzer, which a lot of these guys are doing. And the thing that really made him beat out Jabril Cox is the fact that he's got a little bit of that ball magnetization where he doesn't do much. He doesn't do a lot, but the ball ends up near him for some reason and in his arms, and he's got it. And turnovers help. And the other reason I said the last thing I listed for my reasoning to put him ahead of Jabril is because I actually do think that there's interesting potential there, whereas with Jabril I was kind of underwhelmed with anything besides the pass coverage abilities.
Hmm. He's not in my top 10. For me, he's at 14.
You didn't put the
I
quarterback in your top 10? Oh man.
I I did notice when I was watching one video on him, it showed him getting a pick, and then the next play was him throwing a touchdown pass, but I thought it was him that caught it at first, and I was like, wait, did they have him lined up out wide? And it was like, oh no, Ches Surratt threw the touchdown pass. Oh, he played quarterback and then moved to linebacker. So I thought that was pretty awesome. He's got speed. He can keep up with guys that he's put across. But this is one thing that I couldn't get behind. He wasn't a strong tackler, and he's also 24 years old. I think he's gonna
Ooh.
be 25 by the time the
Ooh.
season starts. So that kind of
So his potential is only about as high as Christian Wade's is.
yeah. Yep.
No, yeah, you wrote about every guy. You wrote whenever they were fast. I haven't mentioned it yet, but I wrote that like for all the guys that are above these guys, I probably wrote about every single one of them that they play downhill. So I mean, we're just like me. We're writing at least one thing that's the same for almost every guy. But these guys are the crappy guys. That's why I didn't write that they play downhill. I wrote that he flies to the ball, but it's not the same thing.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because he was a little bit of a lighter guy too, or at least
Yes.
seemed it.
And
He looks like a
I saw,
DB in number 21.
yes. Well, I like that he just flipped his number from 12 at QB to 21 at linebacker. Uh, and with that, he did have some like great instincts. Like he does have the ball magnetization thing where he could be standing on like the opposite sideline and that ball's gonna get to him.
Get the Madden you swat the ball out of the receiver's hand animation and it goes like 60 yards across the field straight into his arms. Like
Yes.
really, yeah, that type of thing.
But with that, he knows what the quarterback's going to do because he's been in that situation before. So there are times where he makes good plays, but he doesn't create turnovers off of
No, he
knowing
doesn't.
that.
No, he
But,
doesn't create them. They literally just
Yeah,
are like given to
yeah,
him. It's like, please
that's
take the ball.
that's word for word what I wrote. It doesn't create turnovers, is given them, and it's just like there's a place for people like him in the NFL. Usually a starting spot if you just get the ball thrown at you. But yeah,
It can't
find
work forever.
yeah, I find myself I can't convince myself to be like, oh yeah, the guy that just had interceptions thrown straight into his belly all of his college career is gonna
Oh,
that's
I know.
gonna translate to the NFL.
Nah, I agree with you. Man. So
And
you're at your number 7 now, right?
yes, 7. At 7 I got Cameron McGrone out of Michigan. He is a disruptor. He just blows everything up. He is a bull in a china shop for the offense. He just makes everything for them not work, and it's hilarious. Uh, he when they're in the open field, I saw a lot of like swing passes and screen passes. He makes the open field tackles look easy, and that's something for even the guys above him. They Some of them struggled with open field tackles, and he just did it with ease. Uh, he and from here, I think 7 and up, I love all these guys. So I
Okay.
have very little of, if anything, bad to say about them. His angles that he takes for in the run game are awesome. He's all over the field, tackling machine, like I said. Um, And then my favorite quality about him, when someone has someone has the ball carrier wrapped up, he does not try to help him take it down. He just starts punching at the ball, trying to get it loose. So,
I'm not gonna lie, in high school, when we'd have guys like held up in piles, and then people would do exactly what we discussed earlier with the "I'm literally only playing football to try to lay a guy out" thing, and they deck him rather than being like thinking for 1 second and like punching at the ball. That ticked me off so bad. So when I see guys do it, I really do appreciate it.
and that's why I love, because the guy above him, he didn't do that. So I have the guy above him for a reason. But like I said, I love all these guys. It was just really refreshing to he was making big hits, but if someone had him wrapped up, someone had the guy wrapped up, he wasn't going there and be like, oh, I'm gonna take this dude's head off. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna try to punch this ball out and bring it back for a touchdown. And if you got a guy that's smart like that, he's gonna find a place in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. My number 7 guy is and I'm gonna say it, even though it's probably Jameen. Is that what you said?
Jamin.
Yeah, Jamin. Yeah, no, it's Jamin Davis. So I'm gonna say it like that. I'm just gonna say it wrong the entire time, if that is how you say his name. But even though his name is exciting, man, what are you doing, Jamin? Ah, jeez. He's a decent player, but he's a good interior run defender. He's fine in zone coverage, but I mean, he's lacking the one thing that you can't teach, and he doesn't have any flash at all. I can't put him any higher. He's a good player, and that's really weird when players are good enough, even at the D1 level, to like be prospects into the NFL and just have like no flash at all. That's like an element of guys that like you don't see very often. It's like we've watched the safeties, the cornerbacks, and the linebackers so far, and you really just
and punters and kickers.
Yeah, I'm not counting me as watching them. You can say you've watched them. I'm not saying that I watched them. But it's just rare that you get these group of guys like there's just a very small sample of them like that come out of a position where it's like, okay, you've made it this far, but you literally have like no flash at all. And he's a solid player, but there's just nothing that excites me about him, and that's why he can't get any higher. I would be fine taking him later in the draft because, like I said, I think he could be a good player, but like I don't think he's going to be a game changer on the field ever or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. He had a play. I think he had like a 72-yard pick six, and I was just like, yep, but that's the play of his career right there.
Yeah.
It's funny because there was just no one in front of him. And I think he almost like tripped over himself during it too.
Yeah, because the other guy that was running with him like ran in front of him and tried to cut him off. That's still better than the TikTok video I posted today of being the guy that's running in front of your teammate gets a pick behind you. You start running. And then you start going, come on, follow me. And of course, whoever that guy is that's waving on the guy behind you is always the guy who either A, blocks no one, which is like the most famous clip ever of it, and then B, or just throws like the worst block out of everybody on the defense. You see like in that video I posted, you see like 5 guys hit offensive players and try to block them. He's the only guy who lets a guy get around him and almost makes the tackle. It's just like, really, like if you I mean, you should follow your blockers, but if you see the guy like waving you on and he's in front of you, just know that he's probably not going to do like anything to the guy that's in front of you. So I mean, you really shouldn't trust it at all because he's not going to throw a decent block at all. I mean, just run to the other side of the field. It would be just as useful.
Yeah. I with Jamin Davis, I thought that was funny though, because it's like,
that he almost tripped over the guy. Yeah, yeah. No, he doesn't. He doesn't look terribly athletic. The way he fell into the end zone there, I was like, oh, some guys would try to flip into the end zone to be cool. That literally just looked like an unathletic flip into the end zone with no one near him.
Like
just
he was about to fall forward, so he somersaulted in.
That was so funny.
At 6 for me, I got Nick Bolton out of Missouri. He's one of the more compact guys. He's 6 foot 232. He looks like a little squatty and thick, I guess.
Oh, I thought that was a nickname. He looks like Lil Squatty.
No. He
That was like a rapper or something.
No,
what are you talking about?
No. He looks a little squatty and like thick, but with his little compact frame that he has, he uses every pound in his body to try to knock your lights out, man. Like, I did not see a tackle where he was not trying to decapitate the guy that he was going at. Same thing with Cameron McGrone. He's a tackling machine. Open field, in between the tackles, over the mid, like he's going to find a way to bring you down. He led the SEC in tackles the last season.
Yeah.
Unlike who I think I said about Jamin Davis, he just laid the one dude out on the throwback. Nick Bolton doesn't do that. He plays like he's been shot out of a cannon, but he's smart with it. He doesn't just go and lay guys out. He reads misdirections well. He's decent in coverage. He's not the best at it. He's kind of a little slow. He against tight ends he wins like 80% of the time, but against running backs he usually gets smoked because he's not fast enough to keep up with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'll talk about him.
Okay.
My number 6 guy is Cameron McGrone.
Okay.
So I have a question for you before I begin. Is there, because you tend to like look at a few different sources than I usually do. Mm-hmm. Is there any reason that I wasn't seeing as much info on the 2020 season for him as I was for the 2019 season?
Because he opted out.
He did opt out?
I'm pretty sure he opted out.
He had stats.
He had stats?
I checked it. Yeah, he had stats in 2020. So that was strange. Very weird to me. Because that was my initial guess, too. I was like, he must have opted out. Because I was like, everything says 2019 I'm seeing about him. He didn't opt out. He played in every game. He played in at least... Sorry, I shouldn't say that. He played at Michigan, and he played at least 5 games in 2020. But I'm a little confused as to what's up with the 2020 season for him. But I'll talk about him because he's at my number 6 spot. Cameron McGrone, Michigan. I love that it's seemingly somehow no one blocks him, and he is the Mike linebacker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, but actually, I wrote that as a joke, but then like I kept watching. He has this weirdly unique skill that I haven't seen from anybody else, in that he actually almost creates something that I've never seen like any other player do. Where it's like, okay, I could fill this gap and get to the running back easily on this run play. But somehow, some way, he's diagnosing a run play differently, and it seems like he's picking a worse gap to go to, and instead he ends up going to like a gap that is more wide open and gives him a better angle to make the tackle. And it's so strangely unique that I've never seen anybody else do it before. And that was kind of hard to figure out when I first started watching it, but that's what I saw as I kept going, and I was like, man, this is really strange. And no matter what it was, he was always picking the perfect gap to go through. Even if it didn't seem like the shortest path, it would end up working out the best. And it would always be the right thing to either get through for a sack, a pressure, or a tackle for loss. And it was really surprising to see that. It was just something, like I said, something I hadn't seen before. And he was really good at it, and I think that could really be a weapon for whoever gets him. As for pass rush, I didn't write, or sorry, pass coverage, I didn't write anything about him for pass coverage, so I don't know really how that's going to be for him. But the other thing that I then wrote, because of what I said with the stats thing, he did record stats in 2020 and he played in 5 games, is that his production and kind of like total tackles didn't really drop off, but then like other statistical categories where he at least had like low amounts before, he basically had near none in 2020, and that was kind of interesting to me. So it was a decrease in stats, but it was such a limited sample that they weren't statistical categories where he was putting up great numbers before anyways. It was just like whatever.
It looks like he was hurt, like banged
So
up the whole
Michigan
season.
had more than 5 games, but he was hurt. Did I don't know.
Michigan had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,
Yeah,
13.
yeah. So they played a full season. Yeah, that's probably why then. I wonder if that drops his stock then. That may be why his stock is dropping, because we both have him, like where you had him and where I have him is higher than where the one website I used rated him, like by a significant amount. Like we both ranked him significantly higher than these other things. So that injury may be a big concern.
He says here he opted out of the season after he got hurt. So he just didn't complete this after he got hurt. He's like, yeah, I'm not coming back. I'm just gonna opt out now. So
Whoa.
that's why I said he opted out, because I did see that it said he opted out. So he opted out halfway through the season.
That's very interesting. I wouldn't have known that you could do that. So
No,
I mean, he's
either,
coming
but
to the league now, so it doesn't matter. But I mean, what the heck does that count as if he had chose to go back to school, like red shirt? I mean, I guess he opted out because he was like, okay, I'm going to the NFL. Like, I'm not gonna risk this again.
What's the point of me going back and maybe getting hurt again? So
yeah. Top 5 for you.
yes, top 5. At number 5, out of Tulsa, I got Zaven Collins. I said that he was huge. I think he was one of the first guys that I saw, so that's why I said he was huge at 6'4", 250. But almost all these guys have like similar builds to him. His instincts are off the charts. He is really, really, really smart. He, as the spy for him, I think this might have been the guy that you were talking about with spy plays. When he was in at the spy, he was awesome. There were times too where he wasn't on the spy and they just had him containing, and he still contained well. He would light up the quarterback if he came anywhere near him. It was great. And on screen plays, he snuffs them out so fast. So yeah, that's all I got for him. It's
All
not
right.
a lot of the other guys, but I do really, really enjoy him.
Yeah, so he was the guy I was talking about in that regard. And the other note on him is do you remember the linebackers were the last position that I looked at, like on a very base level, the day we were doing our mock draft. So do you remember what I was like when I wasn't saying anything, but I just went, "Whoa." So I was watching him. Number 5 for me. I don't know. You may. This is probably. Oh, geez, this is kind of iffy. I don't know how you'll feel about this guy, but my number 5 is Dylan Moses from Alabama. So we'll see what you say in response to this, but I'll just go through my stuff quick. I think he's a great tackler, great decision maker. He's good at job just reading, like seeing at what's in front of him and reacting to it. The only thing that I really see as a flaw in what his game is sometimes he gets slightly too far upfield. This was kind of an issue that I never had really even thought about before, like until you run into like specific teams. I'm speaking from experience in this regard. Until you run into specific teams, you don't know how much this can hurt your game. But this is actually something that I think is not too hard to fix. And if it's fixed, I think he's a pretty solid player. The last thing I wrote is he actually forces a decent number of turnovers as well with the way he plays. So, yeah, I just think he's a solid all around player. He's not too much. Realistically, he's not too much different than Jamin Davis, but he does have a little bit of an element of flash to him that Jamin does not have.
I have him at 11 on my list, so just outside of the top 10. When I watched him, I was watching his 2020 season highlights, and then I accidentally scrolled down to the comment section. The first comment that I saw there was, it really sucks that he's not as explosive as he looked before the ACL injury. And I was like,
Oh boy.
oh, okay.
Why the heck? Why is that always gotta happen? Of course, that's the only reason. That's why I rank all these guys high, and they've always got an ACL gone.
So I was like, okay, let me look at his 2018 season, because he tore his ACL in 2019 during training camp, or during practice, I guess.
Oh, jeez, that's even worse.
And so I went and watched his 2018 highlights. He was all over the place. He looked so much faster than he does now. He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated when he was 15 too, so I thought that was funny. I included that in my little bio that I wrote about him.
Man, that really sucks. Oh, that's sad to hear.
And with that, after
at least he's still at least somewhat. I mean, because I said he's at least still somewhat talented because he's number 5 on my list. But geez, if he was gonna be number 1, that's pretty disappointing to hear. If he would have been number 1 on my list, if not otherwise.
Yeah, and when I compared the two tapes of his 2018 season and his 2020 season, I saw in 2020 he was a little more flat-footed at times, and he was just like waiting for whoever, like the running back, the receiver that had the ball, to just come into him so he could wrap them up, and wasn't like going to make the tackle, because I'm pretty sure with what I read, that's how he tore his ACL in practice, was he was going to like just engage with the guy and stand him up, and tore his ACL doing that. So that's one thing that might hurt him if coaches look at that and tell him in practice, like, hey, or like watch film and everything. It's like, you gotta run up there and make the play. And he's just like standing there waiting for the guy to come to him so he can bear hug him and take him down with him. But yeah, he Flatfoot looks scared to like go and get guys at moments, and
I don't blame him.
Yeah, I don't blame him either for that. But when I saw the two, I was like, I had him at 10, and then I saw Snowden, and I was like, I'm gonna put the 6'6" skinny guy there.
I'm gonna put myself there.
Yeah.
Just because I want to give credit to guys that look like me.
Well, I wanted to. I had a feeling that you would, because he seemed like a guy that you would like.
Oh, okay.
So I had a feeling that you'd put him somewhere on your list, so I knew we were gonna talk about him. I wanted to put a guy that I didn't think we'd talk about.
Great instincts on you then. I mean, all I gotta know when I look at receivers is to just look at the 40 times to see who you're gonna rank highly. You're like Al Davis out here. Like Henry Ruggs was the best receiver in the draft last year.
The 40 times aren't. I looked at all these guys' combines for their.
I didn't. I didn't. I'm not looking at pro days at all. I couldn't care less what you're doing at a pro day. It's not official.
Yeah, that's what I see. All of them. I'm like, yeah, I don't care. I'm just gonna look at your speed on the field.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. Like I said, you can be the fastest guy ever in a 40 and be weighed down like your molasses in your pads. Number 4 for you.
Yes, at 4. I got your guy, Baron Browning. He is a bully. He is a bully in coverage. He was harassing some tight ends. Like, just, oh, you want to go one-on-one with me? Okay, that's cute. And just shoving them all over the place.
Okay, maybe I missed this because he was so dominant they never got to show it.
He isn't denied tackles. Like, guys aren't breaking out of tackles from him. His instincts were kind of quick, or not kind of quick. They were definitely quick. He was hitting holes and plugging them up right away. And when I watched the national championship game, I did remember seeing him. I was like, ooh, that guy's good. I like him, because I had it down in my notes of last names from the national championship game of guys that I liked. Browning, because I saw him in his little highlight reel make plays in the national championship game. I was like, oh, let me check that list. Saw it. I was like, oh yeah, I did like this guy. And this is something that you said too that I agree with. He's average in the run game. That's my only knock against him. But I loved his like pass coverage.
That's interesting. Were you watching more like I guess just basic game film than just highlights or whatever? Were you seeing like
I
what?
started off watching his highlights, and then I saw like, okay, it's just him blowing up runs. It's just him getting sacks. I don't care about that. I've seen that enough. Every single guy that is on that are in top 10 for linebackers
Except
are
Jamin
doing
Davis.
that. Yeah. But I was like, I don't care about this. So I looked up film, and I think I watched like 2 games of his where it's just like all the defensive snaps. I was like, it was cut down. It was really fast.
Okay.
But
You got a
I
lot
was
more
watching,
time on your hands than I do.
but I watched that, and he's good at pass coverage. It's just there's times in the run where he plugs the holes up, but the running back will just bounce it out, and it's like there's not
Yeah.
much he could do there, but he could do more.
Yeah. All right. Well, interesting.
What about you? Who do you got at 4?
So my top 4 is like my elite tier.
Okay.
Now, I think the guy that everybody has at 1 though, like for best linebacker, he's actually my number 4. So we'll see what your opinion on this is, but Micah Parsons, it's a great job getting downhill into the backfield. Like I said, all of the guys that I wrote about that were decent players. Great blitzer, sideline to sideline player. So basically everything in the run game, absolutely love this guy. He was one of the few players that in the run game was legitimately like Keekly in terms of like some of these guys were just making tackles when the runs were inside the tackles. Like the other team is calling toss plays or running like option plays outside, shovel option plays to the outside to get wide on the field, and he's running people down and making the tackles. That was a very limited group of players that I was watching that was actually able to like take that straight from like not even in terms of lining up at like an outside off ball outside linebacker spot, but just straight up lining up like over the center as the Mike linebacker and still being able to get out there and make the tackle. So that was a unique skill, and if you're looking for that type of thing, absolutely. With how everybody's rating him, I'm expecting him to go higher than I would want to pick him at, but like if he somehow got to like the Bills at 30, where like I wouldn't pick him highly because of I don't know, just the other guys I feel more well-rounded about, whereas him, like that sideline to sideline ability is insane, but I'm not noting anything on the coverage. And like you said, if you're watching stuff and I'm just missing it because of the fact that it's actually off the screen because he's playing coverage well enough that it never gets shown, then that's a good thing. But I'm not seeing any coverage at all, which is kind of nerve-wracking, and it really seemed like they were heavily blitzing him. Like if it was not a run play, he is going after the quarterback. That's just the interpretation I got from it. And if that's the case, I really don't like that at the linebacker position. But in terms of the run game, insane skill and probably the best run defending linebacker in the draft.
Yeah, and I could just get into it right now because I have him at 3 for me.
Oh, okay.
I noted for me, don't see a lot of him in coverage because he's just always getting sent to rush.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, but when in the run game he reacts well. He's a former running back in high school, so he does. I did see some of those instincts when he would like force a fumble and pick it up. He's trying to make guys miss, but
Yeah.
that I just heard the commentators like, oh hey, former high school running back. I was like, oh, that's funny.
Yeah, but all these guys at the top, including him, even though he's at 4 for me, I'd pick him in the first round. Pick
Oh
him in the first round.
yes. Uh, and for him with that speed, I didn't see much of him in coverage, but I said that he's got speed to keep up with anyone that if he were to be in coverage with them, he could stick with them pretty nicely in man. And I also noted that he's like a strip sack master. Whenever he gets his hands on the quarterback, that ball's usually coming out.
Mm-hmm. I
But
agree.
yeah, for him, I wanted to put him higher, but it's just
It's
he's
just the
very
coverage
very
concern.
very athletic. It's just he Penn State just wanted to send him every single
Yeah.
time and not have him cover anyone.
No, and if that's their choice, that's really weird.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm guessing that that's for a reason. I'm hoping that they're smart enough that that is for a reason. Like you're trying to hide his weakness. But if that's his weakness, that's not necessarily one that I want to have nowadays. However, I do think I honestly think he would be an upgrade from Tremaine Edmonds, to be completely honest with you. So I don't know. Not saying I dislike Tremaine Edmonds. He's still a very interesting player, but I'd prefer Parsons over him. My number 3 is a guy you already talked about, Nick Bolton. And he is from... Hang on. I just got to find where I wrote his name. Mizzou.
Yeah.
He's the guy. He's the guy whose name... You know what I think of when I hear his name? I'm like, this is
Troy Bolton, High School Music.
Yeah, no. I'm like, this is supposed to be like Troy Bolton's son in the re-up. Like they just did the re-up now of High School Musical on Disney Plus. Right? And I haven't watched any of that crap, but 20 years down the road when they do the recreation of High School Musical, and it's like Zac Efron was the guy who was the teenager then in High School Musical. Then he'll be the dad 20 years from now, and his son's gonna be named Nick Bolton. So like Nick Bolton doesn't really look like Zac Efron's kid, so it doesn't feel right. But I do really like Nick Bolton, very much like Nick Bolton. First thing I had to say about him is he's playing SEC competition at Mizzou. Mizzou isn't a bad school, but it's the fact that it's in the SEC, so it's kind of like, oh geez, they're playing pretty tough competition nearly all the time. So it's like almost all the plays he's making are against competent teams. Thing you said, I didn't know this because I didn't have the volume on, but you said, and correct me if I'm wrong, that he led the nation in tackles or the SEC in tackles.
The SEC,
which is still impressive. Sorry, not
it's
nation.
It's basically the
nation. Basically the
point.
Nation. I mean, it's the best. It's the best of the best. No, but yeah, that's crazy. I didn't even know that. The first thing the other thing I have to say is the only reason that he's rated this low is because of his height, which is absolutely ridiculous because, I mean, I really don't think height matters as much at linebacker as it may at corner, where it's straight up like jump ball things and that type of thing happening, or even safety with the same type of thing happening. So probably overrating how important height is at linebacker. I mean, it's probably the least important position in terms of height on defense. Even that's including D-line, because you get a taller D-lineman, he can get his arms up and try to swat a ball down. So I just don't think that we should be putting too much stock into how tall he is. He's 6 foot tall, though. He read a shovel pass coming and blew it up. I have never seen a player do that, ever. I've never seen another player do that. That's crazy instinctual. Once again, wrote downhill, great decision making, and he's good in coverage too. So, I mean, it's really just the perfect blend of things. And he actually did have that element of flash that the other guys didn't have, whereas he really does everything He does everything well, and he'd not only do everything well, but he'd also still show some of that like really high upside sometime, where it was like that's more impressive than just the average player could do while being good at everything.
Yeah, yeah. I really enjoyed his tape, and like I said, for me, 7 and up, I love all these guys. So, I
My
he
top four.
the
My top four.
yeah,
I'm not. I'm
yeah,
not. I'm
I
not.
know,
I'm
I
not
know.
going to be as high on 7 of these guys as you are, but I'll say my top four. I'm very happy with.
Well, now to a guy that I know you're not high on because you already talked about him,
What?
Jabril Cox,
Oh my gosh.
number 2
See,
for me.
you bought into the Buffalo Fanatics garbage.
No, no, no. I hate most of the opinions the Buffalo Fanatics say. They just spew garbage. But Jabril Cox, I was watching his LSU tape, and he's great in coverage. But then I saw a little video in the sidebar there of his tape at North Dakota State. I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna watch some of this. At North Dakota State, they had him playing nickel. They didn't have him like playing linebacker. They had him playing in like a nickel role or like a nickel linebacker role or something. It was weird. It was awesome though, and it just showed his coverage skills in that. And though being, yeah, I think he's the best in coverage out of all the linebackers. But for that, I guess he maximized his coverage, and then for his run stuffing ability, that's kind of down there because
Sauce.
didn't make a lot of plays in the run game from what I saw. When I watched him in the Senior Bowl, he looked like he did not even look like he took command of that team, and it's funny to see that in the Senior Bowl because usually guys at the Senior Bowl, they're just a bunch of like alpha dogs. They're guys that have been at college for at least 4 years, some of them 5 or 6, and he was just barking orders to the guys, getting them in position, making plays, hitting guys hard. Which that's one thing that I do enjoy about the Senior Bowl because it's not just like a regular like a Pro Bowl or anything where right, just stand the guy up or no, they're actually hitting each other out there. And something that all of these guys in the like, top 4 do. He creates a lot of turnovers. There are some where it's just like there's no one there and you just threw the ball straight at him. So he has that magnetism factor to him. But unlike Chaz Surratt, it's not all that. He does find ways to punch the ball out, get in position, make some contested picks, or force the ball out. Yeah, I very much enjoyed him. And if he's projected to go late first, I would not be upset if the Bills took him.
He's projected late first?
Mm-hmm.
Are you kidding me?
Projected like late first or early day 2 pick.
Dude, we're actually going to pick him then. No, he's the guy I don't like. That's who we're going to pick.
No, we haven't watched running backs. You're going to say you don't like ETN, then we're going to take
I
ETN.
already told you I like ETN.
No, you hate ETN.
I like ETN.
You hate him.
Oh my gosh. So, to explain a little backstory, since we've gotten to this point now that we actually have to discuss this, the Bills the past 3 years, their selection has been used on a player every year that I did not want. I did not want Josh Allen the year we took him. I liked Baker and Lamar more than him. That seemed to be correct the first 2 years, to be fair. But then Ed Oliver, did not like him at all. And then we traded our first-round pick for Stephon Diggs. So I was happy about that because it means we couldn't pick the guy that Minnesota selected with our pick that I didn't like, Justin Jefferson. So don't worry. Actually, 2 of those guys have panned out, even though I didn't like them. But when we pick Jabril in the first round this year, then it'll probably get back to that 50% mark. Oh, jeez. I would really be sad about that. Dude, why would you pick a coverage linebacker when you can literally just pick a safety or a corner, move them to linebacker, and have them do better? Like,
Why I'm
seriously,
not,
he
why
can
I'm not
be
GM.
he can be better in coverage by picking a safety or a linebacker. And literally, my major concern with him was something that you just chose to gloss over and not mention at all, which is that there's
No,
like
he's not
no
in the
run game,
yet.
and literally anything that has to do with the run game with him is literally just stuff walking right to him, like, please tackle me.
Yeah, I did see that in screen passes, like a lot of the teams that they went against in the SEC too, they're going more to that like not not what's the word I'm looking for?
I have no idea because I have no idea how the
Not
SEC
like a
is
run and
transferring.
shoot, not like a run and shoot offense, but it's just like what the Steelers were doing, where it's like, oh well, we're just gonna throw the ball every play. So screen passes were becoming like an extension of the run, and he made the open field tackles on the screen passes. So,
Eh.
but I do understand your concern with the run game and everything. And I mean, if it does get to 30 and he's there, I mean, I would prefer if the Bills took a Funga and moved him to
Oh, I would love that.
a
I would love that.
linebacker.
I would love that. I would be happy with that. But I like Hufanga, so we're not getting him. Don't worry. Don't worry. The guarantee, Jake, is that I can't guarantee that we'll take Jabril Cox. I can guarantee we won't take Hufanga. Because it has to be someone I don't like. All right. Number 2 for me. Number 2, correct? That was number 2 for you?
Yes, number 2.
Yeah. Zaven Collins from Tulsa. As you already said, you're correct. He is the best QB spy we have ever seen in the history of football. He's a big man whenever he's in that. Somehow, whenever he's in that QB spy role, it actually makes him like the best. It's so weird. I've never seen so many people a guy be able to get in so many passing windows when his job is to just be spying the quarterback, and he's still able to perfectly get in the passing window to pick off the quarterback. That is absolutely amazing. Using him in that role is a great idea. He's playing downhill, obviously, and he can zone up more than man coverage, which was important to mention because I'm comparing him to my number 1 guy in comparison, and I'm guessing we have the same number 1 guy.
Yeah, first time.
Yeah. Well, as long as you didn't pick like some like you'd left my guy off your list and pick like some far out guy I've never heard of.
You have Garrett Wallow at number 1.
I have Nicholas Wallaby there.
Oh,
just made up a name. No. And then I said Zaven Collins is even an okay blitzer. And actually, not sure. I wrote, so the downhill thing is usually in reference to the run game, but I'm actually taking note that now that we just talked about Jabril Cox, I didn't mention anything specific to the run game, which is kind of strange, but I'm guessing the downhill thing was all I wrote about the run game for him. But I mean, his ability to get in those passing windows and that QB spiral, and then even if the QB did scramble, take care of him, and blitzing was just all that combo I absolutely loved. And I guess the downhill thing was what I mentioned for the run game portion of him. Also wrote big man, so
yes. I didn't mention him, or maybe I did mention him.
Yeah,
when
he's
I
a
talked
big.
about
Yeah,
him.
wait, he's like 255. I'm not worried about him in the run game. That was the insane part, is that he's huge and he's still able to like get in these passing windows, pick the ball off, and then still have like big returns after at that huge weight and height.
Yeah, 6'4", 255. Yeah, that's
Insane. Wild.
all right. You just want to talk about number 1, little casual conversation, since we both have him there, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah.
You're going first, so.
The first thing I wrote is he is looking to take your head off with every hit. He strips the ball with ease. If a receiver caught the ball near him, he's punching that thing out immediately. He can keep up with anyone he's lined up across. It never seems like he's in a mismatch. There were some times where they had him lined up across a wide receiver, and it was like, I don't think that's even a mismatch for him. He could keep up with him. I put can rush just as well as Parsons, and then I put in little brackets next to it. I was like, because that's all Parsons does.
Good joke. Is that all?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
That's a majority of what I have. Yeah.
Okay. I had a little bit of fun writing stuff for him. First thing I wrote, First note about him: kill shots. Okay.
Yes.
Next note: good in coverage. Next thing: solid. Not the peanut punch where you're going up and under and punching the ball. The hammer.
Yes.
A hammer. Oh my gosh, looks so good. And then the guy we both like, ETN, freaking scared to death of him. He gets the shovel option to ETN from Lawrence, pitches it out to him, just takes the ball away and runs in for a touchdown because ETN's scared of him. ETN's like, crap. And then, he's not even bad at blitzing, which like I feel like there should be some weakness in his game, but there isn't. Two more notes. The reason he's ahead of Zaven is because of exactly what you said. In that Zaven's good at zone coverage. He is good at man coverage. I, just from my observation over time, would almost always argue that if somebody can man somebody up, they can probably play zone coverage easily. If they have the ability to man up, that's not always... The funny thing is the position that's the cover position, that's a little different. Because the talent there is so elite that it's kind of working differently. With the cornerback position, it's like, if you can man up, it doesn't necessarily mean you can zone up. But at other positions where you have to do that, and it's not like the main thing you're doing, if you're a safety and you can man up, or if you're a linebacker and you can man up, you can usually play zone coverage well. And he was the only linebacker on this list that I am absolutely 100% confident in that he can man up. So for me, I talked about these other guys, talking about how they were all like Moses was the example of just doing everything at a decent level without having anything like at an extremely high level. Owosu Koromoa is literally everything at an elite level, and that's insane to me. That's absolutely wonderful. The last note I have to leave you on, at least for what I'm gonna say about him, is something we talked about last week. Okay. Do you have any idea where I'm going with this?
Maybe.
He is literally what Ifitu Melanfonwu would be if he played linebacker.
Oh. Yeah.
Why is Melanfonwu playing corner?
Yeah.
He's literally the exact same thing. There's no difference between them. And Melanfonwu is playing corner. And not just look. You love what Owosu Koromoa is doing. It's the exact same thing. You would love if Melanfonwu was playing this position.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you love him at corner. I don't love him at corner. But like I said, if you want to pick a linebacker, if Owosu Koromoa isn't there and the Bills pick Melanfonwu instead and make that transition, watch out.
It would be hilarious if
because
whoever
Melanfonwu
picks.
could still be there. I don't think there's any way Owosu Koromoa is.
Oh no, it's funny because I saw online today someone said one of the big storylines in this draft is there isn't like a really elite defensive talent in the draft. Like there
Yes,
isn't
there
like
is.
that guy.
That's the guy.
Yeah, Owosu Koromoa is that guy.
And we haven't looked at D-line yet, but yeah, that guy.
He is definitely that guy. Like Parsons is probably gonna be the guy that's gonna be the first one to go.
I can't believe it.
No.
It's weird.
That's what it looks like.
Like I said, he's still in that elite tier for me, but you look at them next to each other and that's what you come out with? I don't get it.
But if Parsons goes first, like in the top 10, Koromoa's if it's at that point, he's probably gonna fall out the top 10. Someone's gonna get a great pick.
That's insane. I mean, there's not, like him, just watching him, there is not a spot in the draft that I would not be willing to draft him. Like, even number one. Like, I mean, I guess at some point you have to be like, where do other people value him? But even at one, like if you just had no baseline for like what anyone else was thinking, and I just had to go off my own feelings on guys, and I didn't need a quarterback, I'd definitely have to at least consider the possibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's insane. Anything else on the Melon Fonwu thing?
Nah, I
Do
mean,
you
it'd
do
be
you want to
hilarious.
disagree with me on that?
No, I agree. It would just be hilarious if whatever GM and coach calls him on draft day, it's like, hey, Fay2, how's it going? Coach and I just want to let you know that you're going to be playing linebacker for us. We really
Dude,
like what you
I,
see.
I
Or we
love
really
the
like what you see.
concept. He's just gonna be like, I mean, if he plays corner, he's just gonna be like some one-off guy that's like, oh, okay, he's decent, whatever. He's gonna be like who's the random guy you think of when you think of like number 2 corners on a roster? It's like oh,
AJ Boye.
it's Byron Maxwell. No, like AJ Boye is like too highly rated for it. It's like Byron Maxwell. He's not good at the same things, but it's just like some random number 2 corner somewhere, and that's what I think he's gonna be if he plays corner. If he plays linebacker, watch out, superstar alert. Seriously.
Oh man.
I'm pushing it so hard. I need like somebody to see me say this and actually take my advice on this. I think that so many teams are going to be missing out.
You need to send a strongly worded email to all 32 teams and make
All
your
of them.
case on why they should draft him and move him to linebacker.
Be exciting. That it?
Yeah, I think so. Do you want to cut it here?